Welcome to the Super Gringo podcast, where we discuss pretty much anything from Brazil to the mental illness of the loony left. I'm the Super Gringo, Sean Armstrong, and feel free to leave comments in the live chat, or you can call in on Skype. My ID number is in the description. Today we'll be talking about what the loony left has done to America. You can stop bragging now, and a little about the mass shooting, and going to drink a few beers. Let's get started. Breaking news. U.S. troops have been attacked 13 times in the Middle East this week alone, and they're not on combat missions. Can anyone else tell me how we're better off than we were 5 years ago?
Fuck off, Pastor Deerstand!
Are you fucking getting it yet?
I like to plan my stuff out. That's why I write a script, find videos, and keep a pretty good record of what the loony left is up to. Lately, I've been hearing about those two attorneys that took a plea deal. I asked a simple question. Couldn't get a real answer. If this wasn't a witch hunt, why are they offering plea deals? As a matter of fact, one of the very lawyers that took a plea deal, his attorney said that Trump has nothing to worry about. Here's an idea. How about the people that elected the dumb shit that we have in office now settle the fuck down and watch the world burn with the rest of us?
The American president is doomed. A little old man can barely move. If he moves too quick, he'll topple just like a domino. He's got that sinister smile and thinks he just might win the bet. But he's just hanging on, dangling like Hunter cigarette. Hunter types with the hookah pipe say, walk like a Joe Biden. And when he boards Air Force One, he spins around and he hits the floor. He's got the moves. He hits the deck, then he hits some more. All the Dems are so sick of Joe, they really would like to see him end. He his pants when he went to the Vatican. All the kids in the DNC say, slide your feet up the street, hump your back, stiffen your arms, don't pull them back. Life's hard, you know, when entering in the Cadillac. If you wanna know where it stops, it ends in dementia and the cops. They sing and dance when finding the confidential docs. Then they arrest Walk like a Joe Biden. Walk like a Joe Biden.
I've been watching the news. I guess we've had another mass shooting. Of course, the loony left coming out with their gun control bullshit. Now, it has nothing to do with the fact that they've been normalizing mental illness for fucking decades. Oh no, it's a machine. Let me explain something. If you feel the need to tell kids about what you do with your pee-pee, including cutting it off, you're mentally ill and shouldn't have a gun. You should not be in charge of anything. You should not be in charge of the healthcare system. Look at who your health secretary is. It's a fucking guy dressed as a woman telling you the kids should be allowed to cut their dicks off. I'm surprised this doesn't happen more fucking often. However, there was a purpose for the Second Amendment, and I got a warning from ScrewTube last week about saying this. Fuck you, ScrewTube. But when are you going to start taking these mentally ill motherfuckers that are grooming and castrating your fucking kids, putting a bullet in their fucking brain and hanging them from telephone poles with a sign that says, I'm a pedo, I was grooming and castrating kids? The forefathers shot people over 3% T-tax. They're cutting shit off your kids for fucking money. There's no such thing as a gay 6-year-old. Gay would require them to be attracted to a certain gender at that age. They're just figuring out that girls have cooties. However, you put the mentally ill motherfuckers in charge of your kids, who are the fucking dumb ones. You keep going down to the school board and keep babbling to people who aren't fucking listening to you. You keep doing that right up until they're cutting shit off your kid. My kids are grown, I really don't care. I'm just saying, when do you take your country back from the fucking lunatics? I'm not sure the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, more specifically the Second Amendment, about people who didn't know their gender, but I think it'll still work. We have transgenders in Brazil, not as many as America, because they don't groom kids in fucking school. I've seen 2 my entire time here. They weren't wearing pride flags, they were just going about their daily routines. They also don't get hired as teachers here. They obviously have a mental illness, and the Brazilians recognize this. Why don't we try that for a change? So, Friday, I commented on a loony leftist post about whining. Something about the people accusing everyone of whining used to complain about black people drinking out of the same water fountain. Obviously, I haven't studied history, because the same people whining today are the same people who were whining about black people drinking out of their water fountains. The Democrats. The Democrats founded the KKK. The Democrats passed Jim Crow laws. The Democrats fought the Civil War to keep slavery. So I had an idiot tell me prove it. So I went live on Facebook and commenced to prove it. He blocked me before I was done proving it, which means he didn't want proof, he just didn't think I had any. Yes, folks, if you voted for Sniffy Joe, chances are I'm already fucking smarter than you are. In November, I will be going to Hurricanes, which is where my wife is from, and I'm not sure how the internet is going to be. I will be getting video and other things for the podcast when I return. So unless something really happens, I'll be returning, I believe, in January. However, I also have to move, so we'll just play it by ear. I guess the main shooter ceased to exist himself. Of course, loony leftists with their gun control bullshit. Another thing, there is no such thing as a marksmanship expert in the Army Reserve. We're all supposed to be shooting experts, or marksmen. We have snipers that can shoot really well, and they're trained by other snipers, but there's no such thing as a job called shooting instructor. That's not a job. He was an NCO who maybe trained soldiers to shoot, but that was not a specialty in the Army. I've taught people to shoot rifles and pistols in the Army too. I was a tanker. It doesn't make me a shooting instructor. It made me an NCO, teaching my troops to shoot. Well, people keep telling me Brazil is so dangerous, but they can't own guns here. So could just one loony leftist tell me how taking people's guns keeps them from killing each other? they don't seem to have a problem with it in Brazil. Of course, I don't really see much of a difference between Brazil and the U.S. right now, crime-wise or corruption-wise. The only real difference is they don't have the means to stop it, but you Americans do.
Olha, e no Rio de Janeiro, moradores estão vivendo momentos de terror. Vários ônibus e um trem foram incendiados depois da morte de um miliciano.
Matheus Rezende, conhecido como Faustão, era um dos criminosos mais procurados ali do estado do Rio de Janeiro. A repórter Renata Igrejas continua acompanhando tudo e agora chega ao
They set fire to about 35 buses in Rio de Janeiro. Sound familiar?
Oi, Felipe, bom dia para você, meu amigo. Bom dia a todos mais uma vez.
These guys actually called it terrorism, though. In America, they call it mostly peaceful.
Comando e controle da Polícia Militar na região central do Rio de Janeiro. Acompanhamos mais cedo a entrevista coletiva do governador do Rio de Janeiro, Cláudio Castro. Ele já deixou o prédio, voltou para a sede do governo, o Palácio Guanabara, e também os dois secretários, tanto da Polícia Militar quanto da Polícia Civil, também já deixaram aqui o Centro Integrado de Comando e Controle. A gente está acompanhando, né, amanhã desta terça-feira, depois daqueles ataques terríveis que aconteceram ontem, pelo menos 9 bairros da Zona Oeste do Rio de Janeiro, impactando diretamente pelo menos 1 milhão de pessoas em relação ao transporte público, a questão de segurança, escolas e também postos de saúde. O governador Cláudio Castro disse que durante a madrugada e hoje de manhã não houve ocorrências ali na Zona Oeste. Às 9 horas da manhã, o governo do estado determinou que todos os ônibus escolares em direção pela polícia militar, o governador também disse que a energia elétrica já está sendo restabelecida em vários pontos ali da Zona Oeste. A gente lembra que ontem criminosos atearam fogo em ônibus, 35 ônibus.
Bom, perdemos o contato por áudio com a Renata, o sinal acabou falhando. A gente acompanha imagens aí, infelizmente o Rio de Janeiro parado em função desses ataques. Renata, agora sim pode continuar, minha amiga.
Ok. O governador disse, então, que a energia elétrica nesses bairros está sendo restabelecida, relembrando que ontem esses ônibus, né, foram incendiados, o que acabou, as chamas acabaram atingindo, destruindo ali parte da fiação elétrica em pelo menos 9 bairros da Zona Oeste. 80% da frota de ônibus e trens estão funcionando nesta terça-feira. Escolas e postos de saúde estão tentando voltar à normalidade. Ainda tem ali um aviso, né, de alerta, mas a gente tem informação de que as aulas ali estão voltando. Matheus Rezende, de 25 anos, como vocês disseram, ele era sobrinho do Zinho, chefe da maior milícia que comanda ali a Zona Oeste do Rio de Janeiro. Ele foi morto ontem durante uma operação da Polícia Civil em Santa Cruz, e aí com a morte do Matheus, então começaram os ataques. Como a gente disse, 35 ônibus foram incendiados, além de uma composição do trem da Supervia e também um caminhão da Conlurb. Isso sem contar carros de passeio, também atearam fogo em carros de passeio. Essa onda de ataque, então, aconteceu em 9 bairros durante toda a tarde. 6 pessoas foram presas. No total, o governo do estado, na coletiva ontem, havia divulgado que 12 pessoas foram presas. 6 permanecem. Cláudio Castro devem responder aí pelo crime de terrorismo e 6 detidos foram soltos, mas, segundo o governador, estão sendo monitorados. Hoje pela manhã, o governador Cláudio Castro disse que 2 pessoas foram presas ali na Zona Oeste do Rio de Janeiro. E aí o governador disse que pretende ir a Brasília amanhã, que já conversou com o ministro da Defesa, José Múcio. Tem uma reunião marcada com o ministro da Defesa em Brasília amanhã, quarta-feira, e deve pedir aos presidentes da Câmara, Arthur Lira, e do Senado, Rodrigo Pacheco, mudanças na lei de terrorismo, para que não haja a progressão de pena. Segundo o governador Cláudio Castro, agora há pouco, aqui na coletiva, disse que essas reuniões estão marcadas para amanhã, quarta-feira, em Brasília, com o ministro da Defesa, José Múcio, e também os presidentes da Câmara e do Senado. A gente acompanhou essa entrevista coletiva, que durou cerca de 40 minutos. A gente perguntou sobre as garantias de que não se repita aquela situação de ontem aqui no Rio de Janeiro e disse que o governo do estado, as forças de segurança, estão muito perto de prender os responsáveis por esses ataques e chefes da maior milícia do Brasil. Vamos ouvir o que o governador falou.
A gente continua em estado de máximo de alerta, minha orientação é para toda a força do Rio de Janeiro na rua, viaturas, carros, blindados, helicópteros, drones, tanto da Polícia Civil quanto da Polícia Militar, a administração penitenciária também com nível máximo de
militia means something different in America.
E até está totalmente estabilizado.
If he was a
Assim vai ser
militiaman, he'd be working for the government.
a nossa postura.
He was a criminal,
uma postura
and he fucking died.
muito na rua para garantir que o cidadão tenha.
So a bunch of other criminals decided to do criminal shit, just like the United States.
Renata, eu acho que até para a gente trazer aqui o contexto para as pessoas que moram em outras regiões do Brasil e que talvez não estejam acostumadas com esse termo, o da milícia. A gente está falando de um grupo criminoso que começa fundado por ex-policiais e que se torna, então, rival, até belicamente falando, com os traficantes do Rio de Janeiro.
Exatamente, Felipe. A gente acompanha a expansão, o avanço da
Milícia
milícia aqui no Rio de Janeiro
Brasil,
desde os anos de 1990.
criminosos.
São policiais militares, policiais civis, bombeiros. Muitos foram expulsos da corporação por questões ali disciplinares e são pessoas que têm treinamento, né? As pessoas são militares, né? Paramilitares, como se chama, que receberam treinamento. Então, eles têm conhecimento de táticas, né? De guerrilha, de confrontos, de armamento. E aí, essas pessoas, esses criminosos, esses paramilitares, eles começaram a se instalar em bairros ali da Zona Oeste e começaram a implementar essa cultura do medo, da extorsão. Primeiro cobrando taxa de segurança. Olha, aqui nessa rua não vai ter assalto. Se cada um pagar aqui R$20, comércio paga 50. Isso lá nos anos de 1990. Eles viram que era um grande negócio, que isso era muito mais rentável do que o tráfico de drogas, por exemplo. Então, eles começaram a implementar aquele sistema de gatonete, a TV a cabo, o botijão de gás. Você só pode comprar o botijão de gás ali daquele depósito que eu determinar. Se você trouxer botijão de fora, não entra. Então, eles estipulam preços exorbitantes, completamente fora da tabela, completamente fora da curva, como a gente costuma dizer.
Ironic that she would say that because that's exactly what started the fires in
e aí, eles
the United
implementam aí o
States.
terror, né? Diante aí das extorsões, eles também trabalham, né? Trabalham com propina, né? Então, a gente vê essa situação e a gente tem a sensação, Felipe, de que parece que é um caminho sem volta, né? A gente está aí, o quê? Há 30, 40 anos, vendo a milícia crescer, se expandindo em bairros da Zona Oeste. Muitos bairros da Zona Oeste, a gente vê aí, são 2.600.000 habitantes ali na Zona Oeste, num todo, e também avançando ali para a Baixada Fluminense. E a gente vê agora uma relação estreita entre milicianos e traficantes, né? A narcomilícia. Então, você vê aí o tráfico de armas, o tráfico de drogas, a extorsão, os homicídios, essas cobranças absurdas. É uma criminalidade, é um poder realmente paralelo.
Nossos Estados Unidos
não o próprio governador admitiu isso agora há pouco aqui na entrevista coletiva, dizendo que eles trabalham com inteligência, mas existe uma dificuldade, sim, é um desafio. E chamou de ousadia essa ação desses criminosos ontem ali, numa forma, né, numa resposta à morte de um dos integrantes, no caso, o Matheus. Mas disse que é questão de muito pouco tempo de prender as principais lideranças, os maiores chefes dessa milícia, que cresceu numa proporção
I'm waiting for an American to tell me the difference between what happened in Washington, D.C. and this, but they call them terrorists, and we call them mostly peaceful.
Gostaria de acreditar nas palavras do governador Cláudio Castro, mas o que a gente vê no Rio de Janeiro é o mais alto grau possível de incompetência do poder público no Brasil para lidar com a questão da segurança pública.
Cerveja.
Que o tráfico de drogas existe, a gente sabe, não só no Rio, São Paulo, Recife, Salvador e várias outras capitais. Agora, esses bandidos não estão restritos às suas áreas, né, às comunidades onde lá eles distribuem a sua droga ou em outros centros, né? O tráfico internacional de drogas que vem da Colômbia, que vem da Bolívia, que vem do Peru, isso a gente sabe que existe. Agora, criminoso descer na cidade, colocar o terror, porque isso é terrorismo e por isso esses que estão sendo presos, que não deveriam ter sido libertados, precisam responder pelo crime de terrorismo, porque as cenas que eu vi ontem são as mais
There's that word again.
lastimáveis de pessoas dentro dos
terrorism.
ônibus, enquanto os criminosos estavam colocando gasolina, ateando fogo na
And
porta
they
da
actually call them
frente,
criminals.
e a população
In America, they call them
desesperada,
mostly
inclusive
peaceful
crianças e idosos
protesters.
tendo que descer às pressas para
Here they
salvar
call
a
them
própria
terrorists and
vida,
criminals.
enquanto o ônibus está sendo consumido pelas chamas. Eu não estou falando de um ataque isolado, eu estou falando de um ataque orquestrado envolvendo dezenas de ônibus e agora botaram fogo em trem. Onde a situação vai chegar? Eu acho que o poder público do Rio de Janeiro, e aí eu falo prefeito, governador, deputados, precisa, gente, se reunir e pedir ajuda ao governo federal e falar, ó, nós não estamos conseguindo lidar sozinho com essa questão e vamos precisar de reforço, que seja da Força Nacional, que seja do Exército, porque a verdade é que a milícia no Rio de Janeiro e os traficantes, e quando se unem, a situação ainda é muito pior, que me perdoem, estão dando um baile na polícia do Rio de Janeiro. Os caras chegaram ao ponto de tomar um centro esportivo que tem piscina, quadra e campo de futebol para fazer zona de treinamento de guerra. Isso na segunda maior cidade do país. Então não adianta chegar e falar numa entrevista coletiva que está perto de prender os maiores chefes da milícia. Pode até prender. Não duvido que não prenda, apesar de não acreditar muito. Agora, acabar com o que está acontecendo no Rio de Janeiro, gente, isso é balela, não vai. O Rio de Janeiro sozinho não vai conseguir, vocês tenham certeza disso.
Obrigado, tá, Renata? E a gente sente muito, sabe, por vocês todos cariocas aí, porque a gente realmente vê uma população humilhada, subjugada, colocada de joelhos diante de um poder paralelo que não respeita nada nem ninguém, né, e que realmente afronta aquelas autoridades que foram eleitas pelo voto do povo e que deveriam saber responder à altura, mas que, por enquanto, não têm sabido. A gente volta... Pois não, Renata?
Não, você está falando sobre isso exatamente, Felipe. Eu sinto na pele, tá? Eu moro na Zona Oeste e eu uso o BRT. Então, a gente acompanhou recentemente, né, todo esse problema de veículos velhos, né, uma frota caindo aos pedaços. Agora,
I'm just trying to see how many times they use the word criminal and terrorist.
Né? Então, assim, é o trabalhador que não tem agora o transporte para chegar no trabalho, sabe? A pessoa não consegue sair de casa. Ontem foi uma confusão, foi absurdo o sacrifício, o prejuízo das pessoas que tentavam voltar para casa. Todo mundo, pra você ter uma ideia, tá? O corredor ali da Transoeste são 11 linhas, 10 foram suspensas. A prefeitura recolheu os ônibus porque eles estavam sendo incinerados no meio do caminho. E aí, apenas uma linha, 22, que faz ali o Jardim Oceânico, que é o ponto final do metrô, onde eu desço. E aí até o terminal Alvorada, que é o maior terminal ali na região da Barra da Tijuca. As pessoas, filas assim, quilométricas. Ontem o Rio de Janeiro bateu um número recorde de congestionamento, 162 quilômetros de congestionamento. Isso não existe no Rio de Janeiro. 35 ônibus destruídos. Então, muita gente não conseguiu. Chegou em casa de madrugada, sabe? A pessoa acordou cedo para ir trabalhar.
Actually, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what BLM and Antifa did. $2 billion worth of damage. That would almost bankrupt this country.
É algo assim absurdo. Parece fora de controle. Parece um caminho sem volta. É a sensação que a gente tem, tá? A percepção que a gente tem daqui.
Muito obrigado por ter compartilhado esse relato. E a pessoa chegou em casa de madrugada agradecendo a Deus porque estava viva, né? A gente vai mudar de assunto, Renata, eu vou te pedir licença, embora talvez o nosso telespectador se confunda entre as imagens que estão vindo do Rio de Janeiro e as próximas que a gente mostra. Porque o Rio de Janeiro também vive uma situação visivelmente de guerra.
This was because a nephew of a drug dealer was shot and killed by police during a shootout. But wait, Brazil doesn't allow guns. Yeah. However, after you watch this next video, could someone explain to me the difference? What's the difference? Except what the news calls him. No justice, no peace. Not a problem.
You okay? Are you okay? That's my knee. You okay?
They smashed his knee. Too bad it was just his knee. This video is like 20 minutes long. I cut it down for time, but so you mean to tell me that's not a third world country? Got it. So, what's the difference between American terrorists and Brazilian terrorists? So, I keep seeing this, poor Palestine, on my Facebook wall. So, I've been giving them this free advice, perhaps. If you give back all the children that you kidnapped and took into Gaza, Israel won't kill every last fucking one of you. I personally, since I hate terrorists so much, hope you don't, and they leave a fucking crater where you used to be. I don't care. Fucking die. The world will be at a better place when there are no more religious fucking zealots in it. There's believing, and then there's just being an ignorant fuck. If you believe enough that you will kidnap children or put bombs on your own children, you're just an ignorant fuck. Give back the children, beg for forgiveness, and maybe they won't bomb you into the next fucking Stone Age, which in your case may be a step up. It's the same with the terrorists you have in the United States. BLM, Antifa, they should just be shot. When they show themselves, you take a sniper and you put a bullet through their fucking hearts. They're terrorists. They should just die. Funny thing is, none of those terrorists actually have a job, or they wouldn't be terrorists. So we'd be cutting our welfare expenditures astronomically. The only difference between the terrorists here in Brazil and the terrorists in the United States, the terrorists in the United States are actually spoiled college kids who are just too fucking lazy to work. The terrorists in Brazil are doing what they're doing because they want to sell drugs, which isn't a good job, but it's a job. This is why when a loony leftist says they've been to college, yet they act like that, something to think about. Brazil is ranked 79th in education, so you're acting exactly like someone who was educated in a third world country. Go sit the fuck down, wondertard. Wondertard. Someone so dumb they make normal stupid seem advanced. I tried to find the original video where Grumpy Farmer read the letters that he sent to the editor. It kicked off that whole video we watched last week. of a bunch of loony leftists getting up in front of the council, spewing a bunch of CRT buzzwords. Couldn't find it, but it was basically about the riots that I just showed you. I wanted to do an entire video where we basically count how many CRT buzzwords they used in that video. However, after watching it, it would have taken me hours to sit down and do the counting. However, you can go to YouTube and find out about CRT from my YouTube channel, because I've done some extensive research on CRT. Let me explain where CRT came from. CRT entered schools because if history were taught the way it actually happened, Democrats would come off looking like world-class assholes. If you have to turn off comments on your Facebook post, you know your shit be weak. I don't even ask these communist wannabes for successes anymore. I've read too many history books. I just ask them for failures where a shit ton of people didn't die. It's the same answer as successes. There are none. These people are the reason McDonald's and Burger King have to teach high school graduates how to make a hamburger with laminated pictures on the wall. Saw a quote about today's generation that is so true. If you're confused by why victim mentality, victims of the Democrat playing card deck, is so attractive, 1, it provides a permanent alibi for personal failures. 2, it attracts attention. I guess the blue hair wasn't enough. The blue hair in the nose ring isn't enough. 3, it generates sympathy. If you want sympathy, look in the dictionary between shit and syphilis. You'll find my sympathy. 4, it acts as a social currency with like-minded, the loony left cult people. And 5, it disguises negative traits and actions as virtues. So being an asshole is a virtue. So that's basically what they're saying. I'm a different kind of asshole. I apply common sense. I just remember I had an idea for a new business. I'm going to start my own gender-affirming care center. I like that word, gender-affirming care. Here's how it works. You make an appointment with my secretary, which is my wife over there. You come in and I ask a few standard questions. Do you have testicles? And do you believe you're a man or a woman? Things like that. Then I kick you in the groin as hard as I can, and if you stop breathing and go into shock because your testicles just hit the roof of your mouth, gender affirmed, you're a man. That'll be $300, please.
Then you want somebody who's going to get up every day.
Hey, Hillary, why's your husband been to Epstein Island 26 times?
Is this really necessary, guys? Is this really necessary? Is this really necessary, sir? Hey, is this necessary, officer? You guys are dragging a grown man out. Is this necessary?
Oh, it's fine. He's white. Don't worry about it.
Hey, is this necessary, guys? Don't hit me, man. You guys are dragging somebody out in public. You're not welcome. Private event. You decide
so why do you guys support like just endless government spending? I mean, she's giving more money to white people in Ukraine than you freaking idiots in Houston keep voting for her. Watch out. Endless money to Ukraine, endless money for Israel. She's not anti-establishment. You guys vote for the same shit over and over again. Same crime. It's gonna be like just like Chicago. You guys love this shit.
All right, you have a blessed day, sir. Have a nice day.
Has anyone checked to see if this guy is still alive? Has anyone checked on him? He doesn't look suicidal, but you know how it goes with the Clintons. The loony left continued to accuse Trump of colluding with or doing things with Epstein. Question. With all the bullshit they've made up, don't you think they would have leaked his name off that list if it were on it? That would be a slam dunk. Common sense is so rare these days, it should be considered a superpower. So, that's the end of my portion. So let's get to the chat. Anybody in here want to chat and talk about anything? I don't give a shit what it is. I have my Facebook open just in case someone says something stupid. Let me see if I can maybe get some people in here. Share. Facebook, it's not upcoming, it's live right now. Why does it say upcoming? Shouldn't say upcoming. Let's see here. There we go. It's not upcoming. It's playing right now. 5 views, 2 concurrent viewers. Just looking for someone who wants to talk. I did my part. Now it's up to you guys. Call in on Skype. I gotta open that too. I forgot. Let me get my Skype open. There we go. Open. I think it would have rang anyway. But yes. Skype is now open. So you can call in if you want. Cool. I'm done. I don't know if I can tag people in here, nor do I want to try, because every time I type it screws up the feed. Alright. Listen to something funny.
I know we have political correctness, which is the joy that is the other side of health and safety, which is health and safety, which is the small oppression of our physical movement, so we can't do anything without permission from the state. And political correctness is the oppression of our intellectual movement, so no one says anything anymore in case somebody else gets offended. What happens if you say that and someone gets offended? Well, they can be offended. What's wrong with being offended? When did sticks and stones may break my bones stop being relevant? Isn't that what you teach children, for God's sake? That's what you teach toddlers. He called me an idiot. Don't worry about him. He's a dick. Now you have adults going, I was offended, and I have rights. Well, so what? Be offended. Nothing happens. You're an adult. Grow up. Deal with it. I was offended. I don't care. Nothing happens when you're offended. There's nothing. I went to the comedy show, and the comedian said something about the Lord, and I was offended. And when I woke up in the morning, I had leprosy. Nothing happens. I want to live in democracy, but I never want to be offended again. Well, you're an idiot. How do you make a law about offending people? How do you make it an offence to offend people? Being offended is subjective. That has everything to do with you as an individual, or a collective, or a group, or a society, or a community, your moral conditioning, your religious beliefs. What offends me may not offend you, and you want to make laws about this? I'm offended when I see boy bands, for God's sake. It's a valid offence. I'm offended. They're corporate shills posing as musicians to further a modelling career, and frankly, I'm disgusted. Right? But what am I going to do? Call the cops? Hello, it's me again. They're on the telly this time. 5 of them, that's it. Yeah, white suits dancing like girls, that's them. 5 minutes, I'll be out the front traumatised. Bye.
Since nobody's on chat, I think I'll go through some. It's just labeled impeachment on my soundboard, so I assume it's going to be about the impeachment inquiry that I don't think anything's going to happen with, because I think the old bastard's going to die of dementia before anything happens. Do these loony leftists realize that dementia is fucking terminal, or Alzheimer's is terminal?
Mr. Archer. Vadim is the corporate secretary of Burisma. Mr. Mandolfo. It makes it look like we are adding value. This is in the beginning stages of when you're joining the board. And would you agree with me this isn't legal advice that's adding value here that Hunter Biden is giving, the value add that Hunter Biden brings to Burisma?
How does Hunter Biden still have a law license, by the way?
Mr. Schwartz. Was the question. Mr. Archer. Yes. Mr. Schwartz. What was the value that Hunter Biden brought to Burisma? Mr. Archer. The value was the value that Hunter Biden brought to it was having, there was the theoretical was corporate governance, but obviously, given the brand, that was a large part of the value. I don't think it was the sole value, but I do think that was a key component of the value. Mr. Mandolfo. You keep saying the brand, but by brand you mean the Biden family, correct? Mr. Archer. Correct. Mr. Mandolfo. And that brand is what, in your opinion, was the majority of what the value that was delivered from Hunter Biden to Burisma? Mr. Archer. I didn't say majority, but I wouldn't speculate on percentages. But I do think that that was an element of it. Mr. Biggs. When you say Biden family, sorry to cut in here. I just want to get a clarification. You aren't talking about Dr. Jill or anybody else. You're talking about Joe Biden. Is that fair to say? Mr. Archer. Yeah, that's fair to say. Listen, I don't think about it as, Joe directly, but it's fair. That's fair to say. Obviously, that brought the most value to the brand.
Yeah, because what multi-billion dollar company in their right mind would pay a crack-addicted fucking attorney? When a loony leftist can answer that question with a straight fucking face, then
Question. How many times would you say that Hunter Biden put his father on speakerphone or referenced his father being on the phone in front of others who were either foreign investors or foreign nationals who he was soliciting business with or working with, approximately? Answer. Approximately? The differentiation between investor and normal course of day, that's a very hard thing to speculate on. But they spoke every day. He acknowledged that they spoke every day. And he would sometimes make it apparent that he spoke to his dad, and sometimes he put him on speaker. But as far as quantifying the number, relative to investors, I don't know. Question. Not necessarily investors, but with people who Hunter Biden was trying to either get business with or make contacts with or add value to? Answer. In my whole partnership, maybe 20 times. Question. And during those 20 times, did Hunter Biden ever place his dad on speakerphone? Answer. Yes. Question. And I want to talk about the value. Going back to this, it would be spring of 2014 Cafe Milano dinner. Answer. Aha. The spring of 14, yeah, the first one. Question. And since we talked about it before the break, if you could just recap. Can you just say again who was there? Answer. Sure. Ken Zrakashev, Kareem Masimov, Yelena Bacharina, possibly Yuri, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, possibly Eric Schwerin.
Wow, a lot of those names seem quite Russian-like.
The duration of time that Joe Biden stayed there you said you couldn't recall. But do you recall whether he had dinner or whether? Answer. He had dinner, yeah. I recall that he had dinner. It was a regular, not a long dinner, but dinner. Question. And so this dinner takes place in spring of 2014, approximately. But then do you recall getting a wire on February 14th of 2014 from Yelena Bacharina for $3.5 million to Rosemont Seneca Thornton? Answer. To Rosemont Seneca Thornton? Question. Yes. Answer. Yes. And why I remember that is from other testimony. Yes.
But remember, the loony left are telling you there's nothing to see here.
Question. The spring 2015 Cafe Milano. Who was there? Answer. That dinner was, I think we went over it before, but it was Vadim, Hunter, Joe, myself, Kareem Masimov, a Greek Orthodox priest, maybe someone from World Food Program. Question. And what did Joe do at that dinner? Did he have dinner? How long was he there? Answer. He had dinner. He had dinner. And there was on that one, I believe the first one was, like, a birthday dinner, and then the second was, I think we were supposed to talk about the World Food Program. So there was some talk about that. Question. Was there any, did you ever witness Hunter Biden asking Joe Biden to do to help BHR or help out Jonathan Lee? Answer. A college recommendation. She didn't get in. Mr. Goldman. For who? Mr. Archer. I think for his daughter, to Georgetown. It didn't work. Question. And then, in the spring of 2015 you attended a breakfast at the Naval Observatory where the UN Secretary General was present? Answer. No. Question. Do you remember that? Answer. No, the UN Secretary General was not present at that breakfast. But it was, like, a UN-related conversation. Question. Who was present? Answer. A gentleman named Mark Holtzman, myself, Hunter, and the President, Vice President. Question. And what was the discussion about? Answer. It was about who was going to be the next UN Secretary General. Question. Why were you involved in that? Answer. Because Mark Holtzman was lobbying for Kareem Masimov. But it was, obviously, that didn't happen. Question. During that I'll say after dinner at the Four Seasons, did Mykola Zlochevsky or Vadim ask Hunter Biden to make any phone calls? Answer. Yes, though I was not party to that phone call. Question. What was the request? Answer. The request was I think they were getting pressure and they requested Hunter, help them with some of that pressure.
Remember that video,
Question. What pressure?
Those loans and
Answer.
everything.
Government. Government pressure on there, government pressure from Ukrainian government investigations into Mykola, etc. But it wasn't like not a specific request. It was just we were sitting there at the Four Seasons having, coffee and there was Mykola, there was one of the managers for the Four Seasons who managed that property, Vadim. So it wasn't like it was not like a specific meeting. Question. When you say pressure from the government, at this time were you aware that Viktor Shokin was investigating Burisma? Answer. To the best, I vaguely, whether it was Shokin, there was a lot of pressure initially. There was several pressure issues. It was kind of a theme of Burisma. There was capital tied up in London, £23 million. There was, a US visa denied and then a Mexico visa denied. And then there was, so Shokin wasn't specifically on my radar as being an individual that was targeting him. But yes, there was constant pressure. and it was like whack-a-mole in regards to the pressures that had to resolve. Mr. Jordan. The request from Mykola Zlochevsky and Vadim to Mr. Biden, and or if you said it was to you, the request for help from whom to deal with what pressure? Mr. Archer. The request, basically the request is like, can DC help? But there were not, I'm not going to there were not, it wasn't like, there weren't specific, can the big guy help? It's always this amorphous, can we get help in DC? Mr. Biggs. So why do you think they were asking Mr. Biden for DC help if they had? I'm assuming what you're saying is they might have had some kind of lobbying group on retainer, perhaps. Mr. Archer. Yes. Mr. Biggs. So why do you think they were asking Hunter Biden for DC help? Mr. Archer. I mean, why? Mr. Biggs. I mean, what did you take away from that? Mr. Archer. Well, I mean, he was a lobbyist and an expert, and obviously he carried, a very powerful name. So I think that's what they were asking for.
I think the impeachment inquiry is absurd. The American people want us to do something that will make their lives better, not go off on these chases and witch hunts. The bottom line is, as we have said, you can only accomplish keeping the government open in a bipartisan way.
Complete lying prick.
House Democrats will defend President Biden today. We will defend President Biden tomorrow. We will defend President Biden next week. We will defend President Biden next month. We will defend President Biden next year. We will defend President Biden until the very end.
Damn, an imbecile. Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived. Everybody knows you never go full retard. You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
And so this is the constant and persistent dysfunction, chaos, and just complete disorganization on the part of the Republicans who cannot run the government. And instead, what they are doing is focusing on doing the bidding of Donald Trump, distracting from Donald Trump, and trying to launch a completely baseless, meritless impeachment investigation. It is one thing to actually go forward with any misconduct, but we're not talking about impeaching Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is being dealt with by the Department of Justice. There is no evidence, none whatsoever, and I don't care how much they say otherwise. I looked at it. There is no direct evidence that President Biden was involved in any way, shape, or form in Hunter Biden's business dealings, and they would be going forward with an impeachment inquiry based on lies.
Hospital-tested, clinically proven bullshit.
It's going to be funny to listen to Democrats say there's no evidence for the next 6 months, because here's just three pieces of evidence right here. That's off the top of my head. Okay, so Putin's billionaire buddy wires the Biden family $3.5 billion, and then they sit down for dinner with Joe Biden, and then Biden leaves her off the sanctions list twice. Right there, you could open an impeachment inquiry. Or how about when Joe Biden flies his son to China, he comes back with a bucket of cash and then gets on the, hey, guys, you better pay up the rest.
Didn't they give him a new car, too?
Revenge on you. And what do you know? Joe Biden starts writing the communist Chinese guy's daughter's recommendations to get into Brown. And then they grease the regulatory process so the Chinese can buy an American car company. Oh, yeah, and then Hunter gets that diamond for about $75,000 that he lost. Because if Malia Obama got a diamond and then President Obama went soft on the country that gave it to him, I'm sure that would not be a big deal at all. And then who else do we have? We have Biden flies his son down to Mexico City. Hunter meets with the president of Mexico and Carlos Slim, comes back with money, and then complains, guys, I've gotten all of your clients into the White House to meet with my dad, and you haven't paid me a dime. Where's the cash? They can't answer those three situations. So I can't wait till they Have to answer about the burner phones, the 20 shell companies, or Joe Biden on a voicemail saying, son, I read the Times piece about your shady deal.
Yeah, shell companies are like normal for
how would he even know if
everyday
people
people.
If he didn't know what his son did?
We all have shell
companies. And how
companies.
do you not know what your son did if you call your son every day for the last 20 years? Hey, son, how'd you get the Porsche Panorama? Hey, son, where did you get all the money to take me to St. Croix 8 times in a row?
Yes, ma'am. Can I just ask, what actual evidence do you have as opposed to allegations to show to the American public that would merit an actual impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden and prove that today isn't just about some of you...
Oh, I don't know.
...bullied Speaker McCarthy for the sake of enacting political revenge.
This isn't about political revenge. We have the bank accounts. We can see, ma'am, you can see that the homes that the Bidens own can't be afforded on a congressional or Senate salary. You also understand that it's not normal for family members to receive millions of dollars from overseas interests. Those things aren't normal. That's not normal to have 20 shell companies. These things are not normal, and it alludes to not only just widespread corruption, but money laundering, if not influence peddling itself. And we also have the president, the vice president at the time, on record saying that the prosecutor was fired. Well, son of a bitch, the prosecutor was fired, right? Because the prosecutor was going after the company that his son was working on. That's what we have. If you can't see that, if you are that blind, look, I'll turn it over to the attorneys.
People can't see that. They think it's political revenge.
It's because you don't report on it.
You're not,
We're here reporting on it today.
I'm not sure how you know what the American people think, but here's what they might wonder. Actually, if you're a federal prosecutor, you would be asking yourself, how can there not...
Unless you work for the Biden DOJ.
...against Hunter Biden? How can there possibly... my understanding and discussions with staff have confirmed my impulse that this would be very much the basis of a Foreign Corrupt Practices Act investigation, given the circumstances that we know. The question is, it's funny. After we come out of the events that John Durham, for example, testified to our committees about how investigations proceeded through our investigative agencies without proper predication. It's not that you have to prove the case. It's not that, you understand, to this point, there's not been a single subpoena to a Hunter Biden bank account or a Joe Biden
It's called
bank
probable
account,
cause.
or any other Biden family member's bank account. Because until an impeachment inquiry commences, that's not a jurisdictional possibility. Well, it would be stretching jurisdiction to do that. But there's ample predication at this point in time based on that very unusual set of circumstances, which is for no apparent payment for expertise or services rendered. Biden family members writ large received over $20 million.
That we know of.
It is very simple for someone just to insist there's an absence of evidence. But if you can look in the face of that and contend that's, anyone has a right to their opinion. What they can't do is change the facts.
And I invite you to go to the website clyde.house.gov/Biden crime family, and you will see all the evidence from the Oversight Committee. You will see all the evidence. And if you're willing to read it, I think you'll be convinced.
Thank you all.
Are you fucking getting it yet?
But then there's going to be the politics of how do you move through this in a way that doesn't necessarily blow up in your face, given, as you all have said, we have not seen any evidence, hard evidence, directly connecting wrongdoing on the part of then Vice President Biden, now President Biden, and Hunter Biden's business dealings.
Yet we're still waiting on hard
Hunter Biden
evidence
investigation. Now, I want to add one thing, though. What Kevin McCarthy does have in this moment on his side is public opinion. I mean, we just released a poll last week, and we saw that,
public opinion and probable
that lack
cause
of evidence having been presented, a majority of Americans believe something afoot here. I mean, 55% in our poll said they think President Biden has acted inappropriately during the course of this investigation while he's been president. North of 6 in 10 Americans think that either Biden did something illegally or acted immorally or in bad faith in some way, did something wrong here when it comes to the business dealings of Hunter Biden when Joe Biden was vice president. So there is a perception issue issue that the White House is going to have to battle, and that is the perception issue that the House Republicans and Kevin McCarthy right now are leaning into. Both sides are going to need the evidence or lack thereof to make their final case to the American people as this goes forward. I would just note one thing. Manu made a very smart comparison looking back to 2019 when Nancy Pelosi and House Democrats launched that initial Trump impeachment inquiry. One thing that is so fascinating to me about the difference in the politics internally in the House at the moment, Nancy Pelosi did that when some of her moderate frontline members sort of flipped and decided they had been so reluctant about moving ahead with the impeachment
inquiry,
especially those with like national security credentials. A lot of those freshman members, they got on board with that, and that's when Nancy Pelosi went forward. Here, it is the reliable, solid, hardcore conservatives pushing McCarthy here, and those frontline members who determine Kevin McCarthy's majority have clearly not yet been fully on board with this. And so it's a difference in the internal politics in the way each of these speakers handled it. And then I just think, guys, we have to step back and look. You know, did our founders envision impeachment, high crimes and misdemeanor, as now a sort of quadrennial political tool for no matter which party is in power in the White House or in the House, that this is just becoming a way of life? I've been covering American politics for north of 20 years now. This will now be the fourth presidential impeachment process, at least, getting kicked off in that time. And it had been a long time prior to that. Nixon obviously didn't move forward to a formal impeachment charge, but this is now the way of American political life. And I'm not sure that that is a healthy thing for our system.
That is what's known as being stunningly full of shit.
What impeachment inquiry is to do is to get answers to questions. Are you concerned about all the stuff that was just recently learned? Do you have any concern? Have you asked the White House any questions?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe the president lied to the American public when he said he'd never talked to his son about business dealings? Yes or no? It's all right.
I can't answer that.
You can't answer that? Do you believe when they said the president went on conference calls? Do you believe that happened?
That's what the testimony says.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you believe the president went to Cafe Milano and had dinner with the clients of Hunter Biden, who believes he got those clients because he was selling the brand?
That's what the testimony says.
Okay. Do you believe Hunter Biden, when you saw the video of him driving a Porsche, that he got $143,000 to buy that Porsche the next day? Do you believe the $3 million from the Russian oligarch that was transferred to the shell companies that the Bidens controlled after the dinner from Cafe Milano took place?
That's what the testimony says.
Okay, then I go back. Do you think the president lied that he...
But is that an impeachable? Is lying an impeachable?
Well, you want to know... I'm not saying impeachment. All I'm saying is I would like to know answers to these questions. The American public ought to know, and that's what impeachment inquiry provides.
Probable cause. Definition. Probable cause is a requirement found in the Fourth Amendment that must usually be met before police make an arrest, conduct a search, or receive a warrant. Courts usually find probable cause when there is a reasonable basis for believing that a crime may have been committed, for an arrest, or when evidence of the crime is present in the place to be searched, for a search. Under exigent circumstances, probable cause can also justify a warrantless search or seizure. Persons arrested without a warrant are required to be brought before a competent authority shortly after the arrest for a prompt judicial determination of probable cause.
Looks like nobody's coming over to chat, so I just wanted to leave you with something that give you a visual picture. So if they bring back masks, it'd be funny. I posted this on my Insta face, and I got it from a friend who probably got it from someone else. But anyway, it says, wearing a mask while driving by yourself is like fingering your own ass and screaming, wrong hole, wrong hole! So I'm going to get out of here and maybe go over on Facebook and see if I could talk to family. So, adios. Don't know when I'll see you because I'll be traveling. I'll try to get some videos for you from up north. Until then, peace.